Hi, my name is Elian, and if you're watching this video, you're probably here to learn about the Knowledge Society. And in that case, you're in luck. I've spent the last 2 years at the Knowledge Society, or TCAS, and I've gone through both of their programs, Innovate and Activate. My guess is you're here because you're considering applying to TCAS. Maybe you've already gotten in and you're deciding whether or not to join. Now, if you haven't applied, click off this video and go apply right now. There's literally no downside. The application takes less than 2 hours, and you're not locked into joining if you get in or anything. On the other hand, if you've already applied, maybe you've already gotten your decision, and you're deciding whether or not to join. My hope is that this video can help you sort through some of your feelings, and maybe answer a few burning questions. But before that, I should probably explain who I am and why I'm even qualified to talk about this stuff in the first place. Like I mentioned, I did TCAS for 2 years, and for me, it was a transformative experience. Before TCAS, my main goal was just to spend enough time on school to get good marks and make my parents happy, and then use the rest of my time to play video games. That was it. After TCAS, I've gone through a complete mindset shift. My eyes have been opened to my potential for impact. And not only that, I built some awesome projects, like building an entire lab in my basement, worked alongside billion and trillion dollar companies like Amazon Alexa, and met tons of amazing people. But like you, I was apprehensive to join TCAS at first. At the time, I didn't really know what TCAS was about, and I definitely did not want to give up my video game time for some random program. So that's the first reason I'm making this video. It's something I wish I'd seen going into TCAS, to know for sure whether it's a good fit for me. The other reason I'm making this is because I think there's a few misconceptions about TCAS. I've attended a number of events in the past couple months where TCAS was presented, and I got a lot of the same objections. A, that you need to put hours and hours just to succeed at TCAS, which gets in the way of school, extracurriculars, or even just having friends, which I think is completely untrue. And B, that TCAS is a scam because of how much it costs. I want to address both of these arguments in this video, and talk a bit about why I think they're misconceptions. Now, if you've already applied, you probably have some sense of what TCAS is, so I won't spend a lot of time talking about the exact contents of the program. If you're curious about that, there's tons of info on the TCAS website, and the TCAS team recently made a few videos that explain it well too. But I want to talk high level about why TCAS exists. So about 5 years ago, my younger brother was getting really into soccer. He'd spend hours at the park playing soccer with his friends, and if you asked him what he wants to be when he grows up, he'd say, "I want to be a professional soccer player." So around the age of 10, my parents put him in a competitive soccer program. He'd be at practices 3-4 times a week for a couple hours, and then he'd be playing games on the weekends and be competing in tournaments across the province. He wanted to be a World Cup level soccer player, and this was his training ground. But let's say you don't want to be a World Cup soccer player. What if you want to be a World Cup scientist, or World Cup doctor? Or one step further, what if you want to be at the World Cup level for solving climate change or for curing cancer? Where's the training for that? The fact is that this kind of training is really hard to come by. Sure, we have things like school or robotics club or even university, but I personally think none of those things are really at a World Cup level. And this is where TCAS comes in. TCAS is World Cup level training for people who want to solve the world's biggest problems. You can see a lot of this competitive sports framework in the program. Just like a competitive soccer team, we have our own coaches, called directors, who are basically entrepreneurs and visionaries and professional problem solvers. We have our own training and practice systems, called focuses, that give us the skills we need to solve problems, just like how you learn to do bicycle kicks in soccer. And like every good sports team, we have a community of people with the same ambition, to tackle the world's biggest problems and have an impact on the future. So if you're considering TCAS, here is what I ask. Do you want to have a World Cup level impact on the world? If yes, it makes sense that you need to start training now. And that's why you should join TCAS. Now, with this World Cup training idea in mind, I want to come back to those misconceptions I talked about. If you've been researching TCAS for a bit, you might have come across some articles that talk about TCAS being a scam or TCAS isn't worth it. I've read those, and I've talked to people who believe TCAS is a scam. And I think their objections come down to two things: time and money. Let's talk money first. TCAS costs about $6,500 for the year. It says so right on their website. TCAS has generous needs-based financial aid as well as numerous merit scholarships, so financial access absolutely should not be the reason you don't apply. But the question is, why does it cost what it does? Going back to the competitive soccer analogy, when my brother joined his soccer team, it cost a similar amount, around $6,000. That's because he was getting top coaches and facilities to play at. And it's the same with TCAS. If you want the best of the world's problem solvers as your coaches, money is required. calling that part a scam is like calling competitive soccer a scam. Like I said before, my argument isn't that solving big problems should only be open to those who can pay for the training. That's why TKS has financial aid. They recognize that you need resources to become a competitive problem solver, just like how you need resources to become a competitive soccer player. And they're willing and able to help you get those resources. TKS talks a lot about the kids who go on to work at Neuralink or SpaceX, go to Ivy League universities, or work at huge labs. Unsurprisingly, these represent a minority. And for every one of these huge success students, there's probably 10 students who go through the program and don't gain that much. But I'll let you in on a secret. Those huge success kids start at the same baseline as everybody else. Limited knowledge about tech, almost zero knowledge of the mindsets and skills that TKS teaches. They get to where they are by putting in the work week after week. It's the same with competitive sports. The people that practice the most and for the longest play the best in the games. It makes sense. That might sound daunting, but on the flip side, it also means that every part of the process is in your control. You have the power to put in as much work as you want, and you'll get the outcomes accordingly. It doesn't matter where you start. So when people ask me what the TKS time commitment is, I'm very clear that what you put in is what you're going to get out. It's what I've seen almost 100% of the time. And if we're talking numbers, you'll probably want to spend between 1.5 and 2.5 hours per day doing work for your TKS projects. But honestly, because these are projects you've chosen, odds are that you'll naturally prioritize it, because it's something you'll really enjoy doing. If you're worried that being in TKS means that you have to sacrifice school or other things, I don't think that's a reason not to join. One of the big things we learn in TKS is time management, and how to make everything, TKS, school, extracurriculars, exercise, sleep, relationships, all those things fit into your day. In fact, almost everyone I know in TKS excels in some kind of sport or music. I'm myself a drummer, I'm at school for 5+ hours a week practicing for jazz and concert band, and I still have the time to work on my TKS projects. One of my biggest lessons from TKS is that it's almost never the case that you don't have enough time. It's a matter of prioritization and focus to make sure that you're doing everything you want to. Now, to end this video off, I want to answer one more really common question. Can I do TKS without TKS? Can I follow everything TKS does and still get the same outcomes without actually doing the program? Honestly, I don't have a full answer to this. I think it's very possible to do a lot of what TKS teaches without being in the program itself. But I think a lot of people fail to do it. They lack the motivation or the drive to do so. But even that's up for debate. What I will say is that even if you were to follow all of the TKS processes, you'd still lose out on one big thing: the community. The TKS community is a literal army of people who want to and will change the world. It's a community of over 2,000 ambitious and curious people who have diverse backgrounds and interests that you can learn from. It's a community where I've created amazing relationships and met some of my best friends. So on top of everything TKS provides to have an impact on the world, it also provides the community to push your boundaries and help you achieve what seems impossible right now. Hopefully this video has provided some more specific information to help you figure out if you want to join TKS, and maybe cleared up some of the misconceptions about TKS as a program. If you're still here and you haven't applied yet, please go apply. There's absolutely no downside. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out in the comments or send me a message directly. Now that's all from me, so thanks for watching. Bye.